Shalom Aleichem, Rabbi Kovacs here. Mishnah Yomi continues in chapter 4 of Kidushin, Mishnah Gimel, Kol Asurim, Lavo Bekahol. Anyone who cannot marry into the Kahol, the congregation, meaning the main chunk of the Jewish people, the Leviim, Yisraelim, Kohanim, Mutarim, Lavo, Zeh, Bezeh. They can marry one another. Now, we've mentioned the Mamzerim can marry the Netinim or the Shtukim, etc. This also refers to Gerim, converts from specific nations like Ammon and Moab, who the Torah says can't marry into the general population. This is talking about the male converts from those nations. There is an exception for the females. That's based on Devarim, Deuteronomy chapter 23, Lo Yavo Ammoni Moavi B'Kol Hashem. And they explain that it was the derech of the men. They should have been welcoming to us. They're related to us. And instead they tried to incite a war against us. But the women would be acceptable. And that was actually how David HaMelech came from Ruth, Moaviyah. So that's the discussion in the Gemara. But the Mishnah adds, Rabbi Yehuda Ozer. Rabbi Yehuda does forbid it. Now, he forbids converts, Gerim, from marrying Mamzerim, Netinim, but he does allow men from Ammon and Moab, who converted from Ammon and Moab, to marry those types of people. Now, Rabbi Eliezer disagrees with an assumption we made yesterday that a mamzer, a vadai mamzer, he knows he's a mamzer. I mean, I don't just mean his personality. He knows genealogically he's a mamzer. He is allowed to marry a shtuki or a sufi, even though there's a doubt who the parents of the shtuki, the sufi are. But Eliezer disagrees there. He says, vadayin bevadayin mutter, a vadai. We know what he is. He knows he's a mamzer. He's allowed to marry someone he knows. Vadayin besvekan, but a vadai, he knows what he is, can't marry a suffix, like a shtuki and a sufi. Sveikan bevadayin, and vice versa, a shtuki, a sufi, marrying a mamzeret, who is a vadai mamzeret, sveikan besveikan, or a sufi marrying a shtuki, even a shtuki marrying a Mrs. Shtuki, usser. We can't allow this marriage because we don't know what the status is. And he adds, Ve'elu henesfeko. This is where there's a doubt about the real genealogical status. Shtuki, as we explained, we don't know the father. A Sufi, one who's gathered in from the Shuk, we don't know either of the parents. Vikuti, the Kuthians are the Samaritans. And eventually, it was discovered the Samaritans were still doing Avodah Zarah, and their conversion to Judaism had not been, legitimate and heartfelt. But even when they were considered to be Jewish, they were not careful with the laws of Gittin. So if someone's not careful with the laws of Gittin, they might permit a woman who's really still married, because her get was not valid, to marry someone else. And so the child of a kuti, unless you know who did the get, and it was a real Jewish rabbi who signed the get and arranged the get, you're really not sure if there's a mamzer issue from the Samaritans, the Kuthians. The Barner mentions the halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer. We don't want a kosher to marry a puzzle, and if there's a suffix, a doubt, we don't know who's who, well, then, we might cause problems. He also points out that nowadays we treat the Kuthians like Nochrim Gemorim, like real full-fledged idolaters, full-fledged pagans. If someone says they're a good Samaritan, that sort of means they have good manners, good midos, because there are really no good Samaritans. It was discovered they were doing idolatry, and their conversion to Judaism was a sham. Now, on to Mishnah Daled, Hanose Isha Kohenit. If a Cohen wants to marry the daughter of a Cohen, you need to check out her four mothers. Now, that doesn't mean the four fathers, F-O-R-E. It means four of her mothers, Shen Shmona. And really, we're going to add on a mother, so it's going to be 8 mothers. Now, the concern here is if there's some sort of rumor or myth or suspicion, then really we have to figure out exactly who the mothers were and who they got married to, and, find who was at the wedding and make sure everything was okay before Mr. Cohen marries this daughter of a Cohen. Of course, if there's no rumors at all, we can assume everything is kosher. Kohanim are very careful with their yichus, with their genealogical purity. So who are these 8 mothers? Ima, her own mother. Ima, her mother's mother. The Avi Ima, the Ima, her mother's father's mother, and the mother thereof. The Aviha, the mother of her father, the Ima, and the mother thereof. The Avi Aviha, and the mother of her father's father, the Ima, and the mother thereof. So it really requires quite a bit of research if there's a suspicion, to make sure everything is above the board with the yichus, with the genealogical purity of a Kohanic family. The Mishnah adds, Leviav Yisraelit, and if she's the daughter of a Levi or a Yisrael, Mosifin Alehen Od Achat. We add one more step, meaning we add another generation. The grandmothers of all of these women, we would also want some sort of corroboration. Maybe they would see the Shtar Ketuvah and make sure everything was okay before the Mr. Cohen married someone who might have a pagam, a blemish, in her lineage. Tizkol mitzvot and Shabbat Shalom. Good Shabbos.